Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to show you how to pour concrete and also how to stamp the concrete surface. Please stay tuned. It's another great day over here at Eternal Rock Construction. Here we have a back patio area. We already poured the stamped border all around the perimeter. And this is the area in between. So we're utilizing a pump because we do have some difficult access. And we're starting to pour the area right up against the house. You can see right there, we're starting to float that area. We already had the level kind of established there right below the siding. You can tell a little bit below the plastic. You see the siding. Right below that is our concrete level all the way through. And so we're just starting from the one point and pouring the concrete there. This is a colored, I believe it's the Bayou. It's kind of like a brownish, like a dark brown color. Really, really nice. And we're utilizing the come-along rakes. That helps us pull the concrete. And then right here, we have a screed board. This is, I believe it's like a 8-foot long screed board. And we need it to go from one end all the way to the other. We're using the borders. You see those borders right there that has a plastic covered. We're using that as a guide. We're just sliding the board right on top of that and just pulling the concrete, and that gives us the level from one end all the way to the other. This is the process that we use. So we basically pour the concrete, then we move it with the come-along rakes, and then we utilize that screed board, and that will do the first phase of the pour. Then right after we do the screed board, we run this bull float. This is a 4-foot wide bull float, and you can see how the surface, it's changing once we glide that. We just, do it from one end down to the other end, and you can tell how the surface is changing. And this is so it kind of levels and evens everything out all along the surface. Another thing we do right away is the edger tool. That's the tool he has right there. So we're running that all along the edges so we can get our edger pretty much right away. And so here, this is a small patio area, so we were able to get this poured pretty quickly. And today, it's going to be a pretty hot day, so I believe it's going to get near the 90 degrees weather. So this process from start to finish should take us about, I would say maybe 3 to 4 hours max. So right here, we're just getting close to the end point. And there's some areas right there that you can tell once you run the bull float that it's a little low. So we just get a shovel and bring some of that concrete right there, fill in those little dips, just like you see right there. And we just float the surface, make sure that everything is filled in nice and even. And then we just continue to run that edger tool. This is something that we'll do a few times throughout the process. We do it initially to create that first edge. And then from there, we start utilizing this Fresno tool. This tool helps us to further smoothen out the concrete surface. You can see right there as he's gliding it across how the surface is changing, because this it basically evens out and it kind of seals the concrete surface. So we run this right after we do the bull float on the entire area, and that's pretty much the process. Since it's a pretty hot day, we're gonna be bringing in the stamps here pretty soon. You can tell right here we already laid the stamps. Our customer chose a really nice Flagstone pattern. And as you can tell right here, these stamps are pretty large. We have 4 of them right here side by side. We just spread them on the grass so we can get a layout of how we're going to do it. And right here, we're starting to measure so we can create those joints. We run string lines from side to side. And there you can tell we start making those joints. And those joints, we did it, basically broke up the area in 4 squares. And right here, we're starting to feel the surface. We're just looking at the firmness of the concrete. And it looks like right there, it's pretty much ready. So that's why we got our stamp. Now, besides those Flagstone pattern stamps, we also have this, we call it a seamless stamp. We're putting that all along the perimeter. And we're starting to press in the stamp right there. This is because the Flagstone pattern, since they're really large pieces, it's really hard to get them all the way where it meets with the house and whatnot. So this seamless pattern, it will help us to continue the flow of the stamp all the way through, even where it meets right there with the house. So that's pretty much it. You have one of those pounder tools. Now, you have to apply a certain amount of pressure. Right there, you can tell the indentations that the seamless pattern did. And overall, it's coming out really, really nice. I'm going to show you here in a little bit how it looks after we took away these stamps. And so one thing that we do is we spray the entire stamp surface with this spray. It's a release spray. And there you go. Look at that. That's the pattern right there that we just stamped with the seamless ones. Really beautiful. And then we have our really big, we call it almost like a butterfly stamp, but it is definitely the Flagstone pattern. So we're just putting it carefully right there. We laid it down initially, and then we just make sure that it's at the right placement, and it's, we just want to make sure it's straight and at a good position. So we utilize these other seamless patterns. We put those on the surface so we can step on them, and that way we can access, and that way we can maneuver the other stamps. So they have a pattern, and we just have to follow the pattern. They just kind of like go one next to the other. So right here we have 3 stamps already in a really, really good spot. They're all tight up against each other, like you can tell right there. And then we just start stamping this. So this is why in the very beginning of the video, we laid them on the grass. So that way we can tell the order that they're going to go in, so we can have a strategic plan and we don't waste any time, because we only have a certain amount of time. Once the concrete is firm enough, then you want to start stamping it right away, because otherwise, if it gets too hard, then the stamp is not going to look as nice as this one will end up being. So pretty much, we just making sure that tool, we're just stamping it evenly, overlapping all over the place. And we're just applying not a huge amount of pressure, but just enough. The own weight of the tool, drops down, and then we just give it a little bit more strength there, so it just presses in that stamp into the surface. So this is pretty much the steps. We have another pounder right there, so it's always nice to have an extra one. Now that release spray, we also put that on the surface of the concrete. You can tell right there that he sprays it on all over the concrete. And then we also spray it on the stamp. So that way it will not stick to the concrete, because if you don't do that, if you just put it on there, it's just not gonna work, So you always have to use that special liquid, so that way the stamp doesn't stick to the surface. It's kind of like an oil-based material. So, and we just continue. You see that? We just move it from one point down to the other. We're just keeping an eye on the patterns, making sure that they kind of interlock. And that one, we moved it from here, moved it over on the other side. And then we move it back. And we just continue the process all the way through until we stamp everything. We want to thank you for watching and hope you like this video. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel so that way you can see a lot more content that we're going to be uploading every day. This is the end result of how the stamp ended up coming out. We're going to be coming back the following day to seal the concrete, and that'll make sure that it keeps like a wet look and it's going to really pop. So I'm going to record a video for that, so please stay tuned. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. May God bless you.